Today's press conference. First, I have two announcements to make. At the invitation of the Premier Li Qiang of the State Council, Prime Minister of the Netherlands, Mark Rutte, will pay a working visit to China from March 26 to 27. And on March 28th, the chairman of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress, Zhao Leji, will attend, upon invitation, the opening plenary of the Boao Forum for Asian Annual Conference 2024 in Hainan, deliver a keynote speech. Now, questions, please.
谢谢发言人。总台央视记者提问：那我们注意到，在昨天中国发展高层论坛
The China Development Forum 2024 opened in Beijing yesterday. Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of CHAP Group, Ivan Greenberg, noted in the letter from the co-chair that a strong and prosperous China that supports and invests in the international system is a force for good in the world, and this year's forum will focus on the continuous development of China. Amid the rhetoric of China peak and cutting China out, advocated by individual Western politicians and media outlets, how do you view the message from the forum? The China Development Forum 2024 was held in Beijing from March 24 to 25. Premier Li Qiang attended the opening ceremony and delivered a keynote speech. President of the World Bank, Ajay Banga, Managing Director of the IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, and about 400 guests, including Chinese and foreign scholars, entrepreneurs, government officials, and representatives from international organizations, attended the opening ceremony. This year's forum sent out several strong and positive messages. Number one, the momentum of China's economic rebound continues to strengthen. New industries, new models, and new driving forces are growing at a faster pace. The fundamentals of China's long-term economic growth, namely strong resilience, vast potential, and ample vitality, remain unchanged. Number two, the Chinese government has always been an advocate and a good companion on the development and growth path of enterprises, and works to bring efforts together for shared success. Number three, China will take practical and effective actions to promote high-quality development, expand domestic demand, build a modern industrial structure, push forward green transformation, and inject more certainty and positive energy into the recovery and stable development of the world economy. Number four, China will continue to foster a world-class business environment that is market-oriented, law-based, and internationalized, steadily advance institutional opening up and link with the world at a higher level of openness. I would like to stress that no matter how the international landscape evolves, China will always seek development by engaging the world and stay connected and keep generating new opportunities for the world through our development. Opening up will always remain our basic national policy, and we will continue to follow the opening up strategy of win-win cooperation. The global business community is more than welcome to keep investing in China and explore the Chinese market. We look forward to working with all friends from the business community to write a new chapter of open cooperation and mutual benefit. Next one, please.
中新记者提问：24号，菲律宾国家安全顾问阿尼奥在接受采访。
The Philippine National Security Advisor said in an interview that its operation on March 2023 is a rather routine operation. They said that the Philippines will not be threatened by the Chinese side, and there is a so-called agreement between China and the Philippines on the resupply to Renaijiao. And on March 23, the U.S. State Department spokesperson condemned the actions taken by the Chinese side, and saying that China's actions obstruct the freedom of navigation, destabilize the region, and show clear disregard for international laws. And the U.S. calls upon China to abide by ruling of South China Sea arbitration and reaffirms the U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty extend to arms tech, including those on Philippine Coast Guard, was China's comment. Renaijiao is part of China's Nansha Qundao and has always been part of China's territory. On March 23rd, the Philippines once again broke its promise by sending a supply vessel to two Coast Guard vessels to intrude into the adjacent waters of Yungaizhou in the name of resupply of the so-called necessities. And in fact, this Philippine resupply mission is not to stand necessities, but to bring construction materials to the military vessels illegally grounded and aim at reinforcing the grounded warship so as to permanently and illegally occupy Yungaizhou. The Philippine side has repeatedly gone back on its own words and refused to fulfill its commitment and seriously violated its promise to China and violated Article 5 of the DOC. In face of the intrusion by the Philippine vessel, China Coast Guard had to take necessary law enforcement measures, and the action taken on scene were justified, lawful, professional, restrained, and beyond reproach. And China urged the Philippine side to immediately stop infringing upon China's sovereignty and rights and stop provocation. If the Philippines does not change course, China will continue to take resolute steps to safeguard its territorial sovereignty and maritime rights and interests. Relevant remarks made by the United States disregard of the facts. The United States is not a party involved in this issue. However, they repeatedly stick their hands into this troubled water and blatantly attack and accuse China's side and trying to threaten with the joint defense treaty between the two countries and blatantly backing up the actions of the Philippine side, which infringe upon China's sovereignty, severely violated the purpose and principles of the Charter, and endangered the peace and security of the region. The South China Sea arbitration is against the basic principles of gathering consent from the country. It is illegal and ineffective and non-legally binding, and relevant attempts of using this arbitration to undermine China's rights will not gain any interest. Freedom of navigation is never an issue in this region. Every year, over 100,000 of merchant boats sail across this water. Not a single one merchant boat would obstruct. However, some individual countries, including the United States, are using this as an excuse to infringe upon sovereignty and undermine the stability. It is blatant gangster logic. China resolutely stand in defense of our own sovereignty and maritime interests, and would like to work with all countries to jointly safeguard the peace and stability in this region. And we hope all sides can stay clear-eyed on the facts and be objective and fair and respect China's rights and the efforts made by regional countries in protecting peace and stability of South China Sea.
其有媒体报道，美国财长耶伦将会在4月访华，请问中方能否证实？谢谢。
Phoenix TV
reports that the Minister Yellen will pay a visit to China in April. Can you confirm this information? China and the United States have kept in touch on economic and trade issues. With regard to relevant specific questions, I will refer you to competent authorities. I would like to stress that maintaining a healthy and stable economic and trade relationship between two countries is conducive for China, the United States, and the world. The United States must work in the same direction with China and create favorable conditions to develop our economic and trade relations and provide a fair, transparent, non-discriminatory business environment for Chinese enterprises.
Preparing.
英国计划制裁中方，进行网络攻击，这些攻击针对英国议员。他们认为这是中国政府支持的网络攻击。你对于这些评论以及该制裁有何回应？
Cybersecurity is a global challenge. China is a main victim to cyber attacks. We resolutely advocate all countries to deal with this together through dialogues and cooperation. The tracking of origins of cyber attacks is highly sensitive and complicated. It must be fully backed with objective evidence, and one should not pin the blame on some certain countries without any factual basis, still less politicize this issue. We hope relevant parties can stop spreading disinformation and take a responsible attitude and jointly safeguard the security and peace in cyberspace. Next question, please.
谢谢发言人。北京青年报记者提问：日前，第3届民主全人类共同价值国际论坛在北京举行。论坛发布了《中国民主实践与现代化发展全球调查报告2023》。我们注意到报告指出，5大洲23国。
The Third International Forum on Democracy was recently held in Beijing, and Democracy Practice and Modernization in China's Global Survey 2023 released at the forum mentioned that among respondents from 23 countries in all the 5 continents, 95.7% on average agree that all countries need to choose a democracy and modernization approach that fits their national conditions. What is your comment? We noted relevant reports. China always believed that democracy is a common value of humanity. As Chinese saying goes, language dialects change every time miles, and folk custom differs every 100 miles. The democratic practice of every country is rooted in its history, culture, tradition, practice, and supposed to be diverse. And true democracy means respect to every country, democracy path with its own national conditions. China has stayed committed to and developed whole process people's democracy. We have integrated all elements of democracy, democracy process and outcomes, procedural and substantive, direct and indirect, and upheld people's democracy that reflects the will of the state. During the 2 sessions this month, close to 5,000 deputies and members from all walks of life across China gathered in Beijing to incorporate people's ideas and aspiration into the top-level design of national development. The 2024 reports on the work of government poured wisdoms and the report revisions indirectly involved around 10,000 people. The deliberation, the work report discussion on implementing garbage sorting at the meeting room of neighborhood committees shows and the face-to-face solutions to the community-level disputes at people's doorstep show that whole process people's democracy is widely applied across China and has great vitality. China has explored a democracy path that fits the national condition and has China's characteristic, and greatly contributed to the diversity of political civilization. Meanwhile, China fully respects people's right in other countries to choose their development path and oppose stoking divisions and provocation in the name of democracy. We stand ready to work with all the countries to advocate the common values of humanities, featuring peace, development, equity, justice, democracy, freedom, follow the spirit of mutual respect and seeking common grounds for resolving differences, and further advance humanity's democracy. Next question, please.
I'd like.
法新社关于周五对莫斯科一家音乐厅的恐袭，莫斯科总统普京表示，政府认为乌克兰为恐怖分子提供了出境的窗口，但是美方认为没有证据证明乌克兰有参与。那么中方认为谁应该为此次恐袭负责呢？
中方对俄罗斯。
We are rather shocked by this terrorist attack, and we would like to issue our deepest condolences to the victims, and our best wishes goes to the victims, the wounded, and the victims' families. And China opposes any forms of terrorism and resolutely condemn any actions related to terrorist assaults, and we resolutely support relevant countries in safeguarding its
China Daily, it was reported that Russia and China vetoed a draft resolution on the Palestinian-Israeli situation at the UN Security Council. Algeria also voted against it. Can you share China's position? China's permanent representative to the UN has fully elaborated on China's position in his remarks after the vote at the Security Council. The draft proposed by the US has undergone several iterations, but it has always evaded and dodged the most essential issue, that is, a ceasefire. The final text does not call for an immediate ceasefire. This falls far short of the expectations of the international community. With a view to safeguarding fairness and justice, the purposes and principles of the UN Charter, and the dignity of the Council, and also based on the concerns and strong opposition from the Arab states regarding this draft resolution, China has voted against the draft resolution. The raging conflict in Gaza has caused a grave humanitarian crisis. There is an urgent need for the Security Council to promote the immediate realization of a ceasefire that is unconditional and durable. This is a prevailing aspiration of the international community. Any action taken by the Security Council should stand the test of history and the questioning of morality and conscience. China will continue supporting the Security Council in taking further actions that are responsible and meaningful as soon as possible, and making relentless efforts for an early ceasefire in Gaza, alleviation of the humanitarian situation, and realization of the two-state solution. Next one, please.
I have a follow-up question.
Bloomberg. 中国政府认为，谁发起了此次俄罗斯的恐怖袭击？发言人刚才表示，你们谴责所有的恐怖袭击。那么，你认为这是政府支持的，还是非政府行为？
我刚才已经表。
I have made very clear China's position on this. China resolutely against all forms of terrorist acts and resolutely condemn these actions related to terrorist assaults.
谢谢发言人。湖北广电记者提问：美国国务卿布林肯发表声明称，香港维护。
Secretary Blinken of the United States issued a statement that the ordinance safeguarding national security in Hong Kong will undermine the rights of Hong Kong, the people in Hong Kong and U.S. citizens in Hong Kong, and violated the promises of China of maintaining a high degree of autonomy on the special administrative region, and undermine the framework of one country, two systems, and the reputation of this special administration, was China's comment. China would like to express our strongest, which China deplores and resolutely against, the repeated smearing of the United States at the ordinance of safeguarding national security. Well, the ordinance symbolizes the special administration live up to the constitutional responsibility stipulated in the basic law, and to demonstrate a greater foundation of further development and a better governance and greater prosperity. And also life of Hong Kong showed great deal of support to this ordinance. And the ordinance in Hong Kong fully balanced the economic development and rights of the people, and take references from countries around the world, and fully respected basic human rights, and make clear the elements of criminal acts, and clearly stipulated crimes and non-crimes, and protected different actors in Hong Kong, and will not affect this high degree of autonomy in Hong Kong, and will not change the capitalist system and way of life in Hong Kong. And it can better enhance the exchanges cooperation between Hong Kong and countries around the world, and better consolidate its position in the world. The United States itself has a close-knitted national security system, and has numerous acts on its national security, and we rarely see something that large. And however, the United States are pointing fingers at Hong Kong of its It is completely double standard, and I want to stress that the Hong Kong affairs belongs to China's internal affairs, and no other countries can point fingers at this internal affairs. And we will resolutely protect China's sovereignty, security, and development interests, and implement the one country, two system. And we urge relevant countries to fully respect the China sovereignty and the rule of law in Hong Kong, and abide by basic norms of the international law.
国际组织已经从当地撤出了侨民和工作人员。那么，请问中方是否计划或者已经启动了撤侨工作？
A question on Haiti. Following the violence across the capital of Haiti, some countries and international organizations have evacuated local nationals and staff. Is China planning such evacuation, or is already on the way? Well, with ongoing tensions in Haiti, local Chinese nationals and institutions are facing threats to their safety and security. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs activated emergency consular protection mechanism and is working closely with other government agencies and relevant local governments in China. We have instructed our missions overseas to closely follow the situation on the ground. And with relentless effort, the 24 Chinese nationals who are willing to leave Haiti have been safely evacuated to Dominican Republic. And we would like to thank the government of the Dominican Republic and the relevant international organizations for their valuable assistance in the process.
I represent Associated Press of Pakistan.
巴通社提问：3月23日，中国人民解放军一个方队参加了巴基斯坦国庆日阅兵式，中方对此有何评论？
中国国防
The Defense Ministry of China has already issued relevant readouts at an invitation of the Palestinian military. The PLA Guard of Honor delegation participated in a military parade in Islamabad of Pakistan, celebrated the 84th Pakistan Day of the country. It fully demonstrated the unique bond between the two countries and contributed a colorful chapters of the mil-to-mil relationship as a all-weather strategic cooperative partner and an ironclad friend. China sincerely wish Pakistan greater accomplishment in advancing its national development. Next question, please.
记者提问：据报道，23日，印度外长苏杰生出席学术研究活动时，就中方
According to report, the foreign minister of India made remarks on the Arunachal Pradesh, saying that it is part of India and the ongoing border negotiation covered this issue. Do you have any comments on that? The border between China and India never been settled. It has 4 different sections, and Jiangnan region is always part of China. Before it has been illegally occupied by India, China has all along had a very effective administration over this region. It is indisputable fact. In 1987, the Indian side established so-called Arunachal Pradesh on this illegally occupied China's territory, and we have issued strong statements against their actions and stressed that their actions is ineffective, and this position of China has not changed.
Over the weekend, there was an attack.
周末，针对中国的船只在红海遭袭，该船只被导弹摧毁。中国政府对此有何评论？尤其是上周中国跟胡塞之间关于不袭击中方船只的协议。
中方一
China always resolutely against any actions of harassing these merchant boats, and we always advocate to live up to the international law when it comes to related issues, and we hope Next question, please.
谢谢发言人，东方卫视记者提问。那么我们关注到，据媒体报道，美国指控印方。
Dragon TV, it was reported that there is new developments in the case that U.S. accused India for suspicion of hiring someone to assassinate a U.S. Sikh leader. The Indian side found that at least one India agent was suspected of involving in the case. U.S. Assistant Secretary of State Donald Lu recently noted the U.S. government takes this incredibly seriously and has raised it at the highest levels with India, and it encourages India to hold accountable those responsible. Some reports questioned why the suspect carried out operations without government authorization. What's China's comment? China noted the reports. We hope relevant country will earnestly observe international law and the basic norms in international relations. Next question, please.
Thanks. Question from AFP.
法新社关于加沙，你刚刚提到了美方提交的巴以问题的草案。这个草案被俄罗斯和中国投了反对票，将有一个新的决议进行投票。那么中国在今天这个投票上持何立场？
Can you be specific with regard to who is the country that is proposing this draft resolution?
我不太确定，但是我感觉应该是一些非常任理事国提出的。
当前的加沙的冲突仍在延宕。
We believe that the war is still raging in this region, causing a great deal of humanitarian crisis. We hope that the UN Security Council can live up to the expectation of people around the world. And we believe that countries like Algeria, which is a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council, and they have been very clear on the ceasefire of this crisis. And we support the relevant draft resolution, and we appreciate the efforts paid by countries like Algeria and other countries. And we hope that the UN Security Council can pass a resolution that sends out a very strong message of ceasefire. Next question, please.
Thank you, spokesperson. A question from
路透社提问：关于南海，菲律宾外交部周一表示，中国无权进入仁爱礁，中方在那里干涉例行的补给任务的举动是不可接受的。中方是否已经尽了一切的外交努力来解决当前的局势？中国的工具箱里还有什么可以解决这个问题？
关于3月。
Well, with regard to the so-called resupply mission of the Filipino side, we have been very clear with our solid position, and our position on issues related to Renai Jiao is consistent and clear. It is part of China's Nansha Qundao. It is part of China's territory, and always dedicate ourselves to manage our differences through dialogues and negotiations. And the doors of engagement and dialogues to the Filipino side is always remain open. And we urge the Filipino side to stop hype up the disputes between the two countries at sea, and stop provocation and infringe upon China's rights, and stop taking any actions that will further escalate and make this situation more complicated. And truly honor his word, and return to the right track of negotiation, and as soon as possible, and work with China in the same direction, and jointly protect the sovereignty and stability of this region. And China will continue to take resolute actions to safeguard its sovereignty and territorial integrity, as well as maritime interests. Next question, please.
Bloomberg News again.
彭博社，你刚才表示敦促菲方与中方共同努力，我认为你讲的是中方表示。中方希望与菲方共同努力。那么，中方一直表示菲律宾，需要遵守承诺。那么，菲方所谓的承诺是什么？你能否澄清这一点？
请再重复你的问题。
Could you repeat your question, please?
You said in your question, you said in your answer now to Reuters that the Filipinos should follow their promises and follow their word. What is the promise that China claims the Philippines has made on the question of the ship in the shoal? The details of the promise have never been announced, and the Filipino government says it doesn't exist. So can you give us your version of what promises were made and when they were made? Thank you.
刚才你在回答路透社的问题时提到，中方希望菲方遵守承诺。那么我想问一下，这个承诺具体是什么？那么关于这一承诺，中方从未详细的说明过。那么你现在能否详细的说明这一承诺是什么，以及它是如何做出的？
菲律宾派军舰在仁爱礁做。
Sending a military vessel to a ground at Ren'ai Jiao severely violates China's rights. In the 90s, and the Philippine side grounded a warship at Ren'ai Jiao. China has made very clear that the Philippine side must remove the ship as soon as possible, but the Philippine side has repeatedly said that they will move away the grounded warship. However, after 20 years, they never honored its word and repeatedly violated the promises they have provided to the Chinese side and severely violated the Article 5 in the DOC.
下一个问题。
Next question, please.
Thanks. Last question from.
法新社提问：斯里兰卡总统正在中国进行访问，中方能否提供更多的细节，尤其是关于斯里兰卡债务的问题，是否将会讨论这一议题？
关于斯里兰卡总理访。
With regard to the relevant information of the visit, and we will issue readouts in due time. Please stay tuned. Next question, please.
还有其他问题吗
Do you have any other further questions?
谢谢发言人，深圳卫视执新闻提问。据报道，23号，巴拉圭总统佩尼亚在 X 发文称，巴台邦交关系建立66年来深入友好，但并未阻碍巴同中国贸易关系。巴仍。
It is reported that Paraguay's president wrote on X that the 66 years of diplomatic ties between Paraguay and Taiwan runs deep. And do you have any comments on that? There is only one China in the world, and Taiwan is an inalienable part of China's territory. The government of the PRC is the sole government that represents the whole of China. The One China principle is a universally recognized norm, in international relations and prevailing consensus among the international community. Standing up for the One China principle is the right thing to do and is where global opinion trends and the arc of history bends. Well, despite the fact that China is the world's top importer of soybeans, however, our official data show that China's soybean imports from Paraguay have been zero in recent years. If the government of Paraguay truly puts national development and its people's well-being close to its heart, the desirable things to do is to see the prevailing trend and stand on the right track of history, instead of relying on petty tricks and looking for a chance to exploit. Do we have any other questions? Well, that concludes today's press conference. Thank you very much.